Okay, this is video 8 in the series of molding and casting a life-size figure. So what you see now is the completed rubber application stage. So this is the 4th layer of rubber, which I put on to kind of smooth the surface a little bit. And this went on pretty quickly, like the second coat. I did it in just a few hours. And I probably used, again, maybe about 7 of those pint-and-a-half containers to do it. One thing I wanted to mention that I didn't talk about last time is there are a couple places, sometimes in the cast, just because of the nature of the sculpture and how you want to divide things up. Sometimes you'll be presented with relatively deep undercut, so an area like this, or deep recession. And when you look in an area like this, you might think, well, that's a really small area. I like to get sort of maximum release with the mother mold, why don't you just fill that area up with rubber and sort of create a flat spot instead of an indentation here? And I could do that, and I've done it in the past. The problem is if that recession is really deep and you fill it up with solid rubber, if there's any kind of a corner in the back, when you come to pull, it'll make it easier for the mother mold to come off, but when you come to pull the rubber off the actual casting that you've done of whatever it is, plaster or or resin, which I'll be doing with this casting. That thick core of rubber can be really difficult sometimes to pull out of a tight spot, and so you can damage the piece if you are trying to pull really hard on this sort of locked piece of rubber in there. So what I try to do in an area like this, I try to split the difference. I try to fill it up a little bit so that the mother mold doesn't release too poorly. But I also try to keep the rubber on the thin side so that when I'm pulling the rubber out, it's not this huge chunk of rubber. There's a little bit of give to the rubber that will allow it to release. The other thing I wanted to say is, I haven't been casting a long time, but I've been doing a good bit of casting the last 2 years. But it seems like no matter how many casts I do, I inevitably find a way to create a little challenge for myself. So this is one of them down here. I should have had this division designed a slightly different way. But there's always a solution, and so this is a little recession that I'm going to have to work a little bit with, but I think I have a way to make that work. But the point is that I guess until you do just a ton of mold making, you're often going to run into some little issue that you'll have to sort of create a solution for. And I think that's a natural part of the process until you become very, very adept at it. All right, so my next stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to key the surface, which means taking rubber that I've put into a mold. I have created a mold here with wood that I've shellacked and then have put Vaseline on so that the rubber releases easily, and created these strips. And I'll cut these strips up, and I'll create keys both on the interior and along the perimeter of this mold so that it locks really well with the mother mold. The other thing I'm going to do as I do that is I'm going to create keys for where the mother mold attaches to the other side of the mother mold. So it'll be along this area. And I'll cut and clean up the perimeter of that, of this rubber mold. So I'll come back when I've done that and you'll be able to see what I mean.